Gender
We
Gnomes.
used to sit on a couch just like this.
Yeah. We did when we bought our new couch for our new apartment. We wanted to buy a green velvet couch because that's what my parents have in the house we were living in during the pandemic and writing in.
Yeah. Not quite as big or fluffy.
Yeah.
But fits in New York apartment.
Fits in New York apartment, is green, is velvet.
So who the hell are you guys?
Well, I'm Pat.
Nice.
I'm Rachel.
And we're the Gen. We are Kylie Westerbeck and the Golden Child.
The Golden Childs.
No, for real though, I'm Mike Parisi.
And I'm...
Come on, Pat. You can do it.
I'm... Hi, Dad. I'm sleepy.
Hi, sleepy. I'm Dad.
No, but for real, what am I doing here? I'm in New York City, and I'm hanging out with my friends Pat and Rachel. They're in a band. They're in love, and they're also in a band together, where they write songs and perform them, because that's what a band is.
That is exactly what a band does, and that's exactly what we do.
Yes, they're coming out with an album. Actually, by the time you're watching this, Hi everyone, Editor Michael here. I just wanted to let you guys know that this video came out a little later than we had initially planned. So their album is actually out right now. Like you can go stream it. Go stream it right now. It's called All We've Got Is Time. And this is what it looks like. So watch the rest of this interview and then go listen to it after, and then go back and watch this interview again. Okay, goodbye. Back to the interview. They dropped a music video.
Yeah, we did.
For this song called Manhattan. But for us here in filming our time, we filmed it yesterday.
We did.
So we're so tired.
We're so tired.
I've been sleeping on a couch for like 4 days. Not this couch. I slept on a couch that was less comfortable than this one. I did not direct or shoot, but I did edit and production manage, and we had lots of wonderful people working on this.
Yeah.
But
and you've done such a good job on the editing that you've already done.
Thank you
Let
so
me
much.
say. Let me just say.
Okay.
This is so funny to us now. It's not going to be funny to
I know,
anyone
it's not going to be funny to
watching this
anybody
in the
later.
future.
Cut this part out.
Okay.
Cut out the part where I say to cut it out, too.
Okay. No. But we're in the Gnome home.
We're in the Gnome home.
How long have you guys lived in Brooklyn?
2.5 months, I think.
Oh wow. So
It's fresh.
how like moved in do you feel?
Actually, like 100%. We just haven't done the balcony yet.
Okay.
We have a cute little balcony, but we felt 100% moved in until we tore our entire home apart.
To do the video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to director Emily for volunteering her apartment for us to film in.
Yeah.
Because usually a lesson you learn after you volunteer your home to be filmed in is I should never have let them film in my house.
Right. And so I'm glad that if she does learn that lesson, we get a really good music video out of it.
Exactly.
But yeah, our home was torn apart for the sake of, using the rugs on our floor in the video and using everything we own as a prop and a costume and a piece of the production design. So yeah, putting it back together is going to take a couple days.
Of course. Where did the gnomes come from? Is there a story there?
I really wish there was, and we really ought to make one up.
Yeah.
We were just chilling in bed, and one of us said, we were doing the thing you do when you become a band, and you're like, what if our band name was this? And what if our band name was that?
Yeah.
And
Trying actively very hard to think of a band name, I remember.
Right. And so it's usually when you're trying to think of a band name that you come up with your worst band names. What I really love about what's stuck about the name is that it forces us not to take ourselves too seriously.
Which is good.
Yeah, because this album that we're about to release is the most serious music we've made so far. And so there's some really fun tracks on it, but there are a lot of things that are a lot more introspective than I think people are used to hearing from us. So being the Gender Gnomes does force a little bit of fun into it, even when it's not inherently fun. And it's a reminder to us to keep things light even when they are heavy.
I feel like it also forces you to just have a lot of gnomes.
We have a lot of gnomes.
People keep giving them to us.
Right.
They will not stop coming.
We got so many gnomes for Christmas this year. Like, it's insane. The gnomes that we had, like, tripled.
Where did you think that the pivot to more serious, was that something that you feel like was a long time kind of coming, or was there like a specific moment that like triggered that?
Yeah, I think this might be different for you, but a big part of it had to do with a songwriting project that we did right at the beginning of the pandemic-ish. The first summer of the pandemic.
In like June 2020.
Yeah, in June 2020, we were a part of the Johnny Mercer Songwriters Foundation project. They get a bunch of young songwriters together for a week. It usually takes place at Northwestern University, but it was COVID, so we were the first year that ever did it online.
Gotcha.
And that was a week that we spent learning about songwriting and really just inundating ourselves with, like, how do you actually be a songwriter as a career, and thinking about longevity in songwriting rather than just, like, I write songs when I feel sad and something comes out, or, like, I write a song when I have an idea. It was about learning how the craft of songwriting. The practice of songwriting, right. And so, for me, I've written songs my entire life. I've written songs. I have books full of songs from when I was like 8 years old that are terrible.
But I bet there's like one in there that's like kind of great.
There's at least one or two.
Right?
Right?
Because
like
you think back to like the stuff you made when you were very young.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that was all terrible. And then you're like, wait, you had little me, you had all the right impulses there.
Yeah, okay, I had a big Avril Lavigne phase, and there was a pop punk song that I wrote that, like, I don't know.
Pull an MGK and pivot to pop punk.
We might have to. We might have to collab with our friends over at Daisy Grenade, which, check out Daisy Grenade. But,
someday I do want to record a very professionally produced album of all the songs we wrote when we were kids.
Yeah. Oh, because Pat wrote amazing ones too, right? So, like, we've both been songwriters.
Amazing.
You wrote some great songs when you were a kid.
Yeah,
I've heard
the very
them all.
like Nirvana, Green Day, like angry middle school boy
Absolutely. But that's the thing. So we've both been writing music since we were tiny children. And yet, I think this is true for both of us, that we did not consider ourselves to be songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, for me, like, I was a musician, and I was an actor and a singer, and I was never a songwriter, or at least I thought in my brain, like, as a label, I was so afraid of that word. And then we did this project where we were recognized by really amazing songwriters. There were some really, really amazing teachers that week, and songwriters that we worked with in that cohort of people who recognized us as songwriters, and we said, well, dang, I think we're songwriters. Right? And so we finally sort of gave ourselves permission to write, to write the bad version of the song so you can get to the good version of the song, to rewrite an old song, to write a song that has nothing to do with you for no reason and just see what happens. We gave ourselves permission to just write, and so, I mean, that summer after that project, I think we wrote like 50 or 60 songs in the span of a couple of months. We've never written, neither one of us has ever been a writer like that.
Right.
We had this like prolific period of writing.
And it helped that it was COVID and we were stuck at home in a very small circle of people.
Yeah.
With them.
Yeah, we were so lucky to have the time to be able to write. And the flexibility with like where we were at, like working wise, like we were just able to spend hours a day writing. And what came out of that was a lot of serious songs, a lot of silly fun songs, just a lot of songs, a lot of them. And the ones that we felt compelled to release now, because like we have then possibly the next
demo.
Yeah, like we have like the next album fully written, and it's gonna be probably a different vibe from this one. And we have like plenty of songs that we're like, well, that doesn't fit into any album that we're planning. So who knows what we're gonna do with that?
Because sometimes you have those ones that you just kind of be like, I'm just gonna stick this over here. And then 3 albums from now,
we'll come back to things.
Dust it off, and you're like,
and completely rewrite it. I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's like sometimes it's like you're not ready for this idea. It's like you kind of like plant, where it's like this has got to sit in its little pot, over there.
So that, and so these songs on this album are the songs that were ready, the songs that were like just the stories that we were ready to tell, and that. And that were, you know, things that we hopefully feel that people might want to hear right now, you know. We have songs that are right at the beginning of the pandemic where we're like, what the hell is this? And we have songs when we think it's almost over. And then it's not really almost over. We have songs where we're like, you know what? I don't have to go to work. Good. I'm going to kick my feet up and relax. All of these sort of universal things that I think a lot of people found during the pandemic, we tried to write songs that align with that.
Did you like go into it thinking that you were going to write like a pandemic album? Or did it kind of happen by accident? Because it's kind of hard to avoid, especially as musicians, where it's like...
I feel like that happened kind of naturally.
Yeah.
And then once we had all these songs, what ended up taking shape was a collection that did feature a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of them were just very timely, very much... it's kind of now or never with them a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting both with like your project of pandemic songs, but also even like big artists in their albums with like pandemic stuff. And it's like, once we get 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's like once you have that benefit of distance, looking back at like pandemic era music, about like how it kind of will be defined, and like if there will be kind of like a clean cut, or even things that have nothing to do with the pandemic, where it'll be like, actually we wrote this in 2017, all of a sudden it'll be like, this is like this is about what they were feeling during COVID, when it was like you know, because of the way that you kind of mythologize about it.
Yeah, there's a certain vibe to songs that were all written during World War II, and then Vietnam, and 9/11, and there's different spirits, and with films that come out during those times too. What
I do love about this album is that we have a few songs, at least, that are that have nothing to do with the pandemic. We really do have at least one. At least one that you really cannot go, oh, that's a pandemic song. Like, it's maybe the moon. It's about talking to the moon.
Yeah.
And putting one or two songs like that on the album makes me feel like maybe in 20 years, that'll be the one that people listen to, and they're like,
I get it really captures
like,
time.
People will be like, yeah, it's so pandemic-y. Or people will be like, I don't get any song. Like kids who, you know, well, I guess all the kids now, kids who were not alive during the pandemic, might listen to it and be like, what is this whole album about?
Right.
I do hope that there are, like, sentiments in here and that they're written in such a way that they will apply to other things in the future, and that people will be able to feel the feelings of them without having to associate them with this specific time.
Yes, that's the other thing we have at least, so there's one song on the album that every person we play it for hears something different in it. And so we've had a few people say, wow, it's such a good pandemic song. And then we've had a few people say, wow, it's such a good love song. And a few people say, like, oh, it's about your mom.
Which one is that?
So that's Break Me Down.
Okay.
And I won't tell anyone
when it's actually about. I feel like that's a sign that you shouldn't. That's one of those kind of eye of the beholder songs.
Because at the end of the day, like, the answer is correct. Whatever you hear is what it's about. Yeah.
If you ask what's it about, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Talking about this weekend.
Yeah.
Why was Manhattan the one?
When we were producing it, you, Rachel, saw it heard the song in visual terms. Like, this is when the ukulele character enters and feels like this. Thinking of the song as going through New York City and experiencing different people's lives and gathering people together.
Right. It was so, always when we're producing, especially, we are very, we're hyper aware of how each element sort of can take on its own character if you want it to. Not every instrument has to do that, but we love to do that in our production. You know, we love to have a guitar line be almost like a character or express. You know, we have another song on the album called The Next Open Window where we have this sort of floaty vocal line happening that gets progressively sort of closer and closer to your ear the whole song. That we call it the fairy vocal, but you know, it represents a character in the song. And so for Manhattan, I mean, so we were living in Philly at the time, producing the album. I'm a born and bred New Yorker, and I missed New York so much, and I was like envisioning what I used to love of walking through New York and hearing all of these different sounds, and like walking through Central Park and hearing a busker and the music of New York, even when it's not actual music. Like, we have all the percussion in Manhattan is just sounds that we created. There's no like real drums in the song. And so as we were building it, these characters were taking shape for me. And so like, I think as we were starting the production, I was like, oh man, can you picture the music video for this one?
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes it is just obvious.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it would be hard to listen to this album and ask, like, I think if anybody listened to this album and you were like, which one should be the music video? I'm pretty sure that the answer across the board would be Manhattan. I won't say it's the most fun song on the album because it's maybe tied with When I Say Blue, which is going to be the first single.
Okay. Did you want to lead with the more upbeat ones?
Yeah, we really did.
Not originally, though.
Right.
You originally wanted, like, oh, we got his time, hit him over the head with some sadness, and we'll make them earn their fun. Right. And then I think we got smartly talked out of doing that.
Yeah, because, you know, All We've Got Is Time, which is, of course, the title track on the album, we released just a video of us playing that like a couple days after we wrote it, when we were deep enough into the pandemic to see like how many people were going to be really awfully affected by it, and how many people died, and a lot of people needed a song like that, which was kind of amazing for us at that point, because, you know, we just were able to reach people with our music in a way that every musician was like striving for during the pandemic, because we had lost connection with our audiences. I just think we're at a point where people need joy. People need joy wherever and whenever you can find it.
It's nice.
I think we did not answer your original question.
I think you did.
Did we?
You said interesting things.
All right, that's good.
The question is just an encouragement.
Yeah, good.
For good sound bites.
Great.
Why don't you talk about some of the writing stuff? You've talked about kind of the writing process, but like this is me queuing you up to talk about writing in Westchester.
Yeah. I'm going to plug a book.
Great.
That I'm going to get off. I'm ruining the continuity of
wherever. No, this is great.
Oh, are we going in here?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Hold on.
Okay, hold on.
I'll put it back.
Rachel's got a... Oh, Prop design? Production design. Okay, just watching you do this is way more interesting.
Jesus Christ. Scrunchies are everywhere! Okay. Hold on. This plant looked so good before we used it in a music video. This plant is so mad that it had to be a prop. Oh my god, it's like, give me fucking water!
So there was a book.
So there is a... Wait. No.
And action.
So there is a book that every songwriter should read, which is called Writing Better Lyrics by Pat Pattison. There is a really, the whole beginning of the book talks about this writing exercise called object writing, which is for us, it is how we learned to be songwriters, in the sense of I can sit down and write you a song, and maybe it's not gonna be the greatest song you've ever heard, but I can sit down and in an hour, maybe 2, have like something for you. I can make a song happen at the drop of a hat without having to wait for inspiration to strike. It's amazing when it does strike, but you can't force it. Sometimes you just need to be able to sit and make it happen, and this book will teach you how to do that. It'll also teach you how to take the song once it's written and it's bad and make it really good and really compelling. Oh wait, let me show this one, because an example of what object writing actually looks like is you take a clover plant that your mom has in your kitchen and you look at it for a few minutes, and then you write about it, and you focus on what it looks like, what it sounds like if you touch the leaves, what it smells like, what the dirt smells like, what it feels like to touch the leaves. So you focus on your senses. You stay very sense bound to whatever degree you can. And then it's a total free write. You just write and write and write. And you set yourself a timer, so you have 5 minutes to just write and write and write every single thing that your senses can come up with about this clover plant. And you'll find like beautiful things. Like, so I have this page of just gems, from which, how many of them are actually gems? Who knows?
Who cares?
Who knows or cares, right? But like so there might come a day where I need the lyric "Purple Waterfall," or "The Sound of Solid Glass," or "A Violent Coolness." I've been striving my whole life to have a violent coolness. Object writing will change the shape of your lyrics forever. It's brilliant.
When you say that you like wrote the songs on the couch, how like literal?
So
is that?
That literally is, we would, every morning before work, which my dad was our boss, so work started whenever. Thanks, Dad.
Right.
Every morning before work, we would do yoga because it was the pandemic.
Right, and everybody had new hobbies.
Everyone had new hobbies. Sometimes we'd go for a run, a miracle.
Never again.
No.
Not pay me.
No, are you kidding me? But we would go for a run, and then we would sit on the couch, and we would do our object writing. And then we would so the object writing was really just an exercise. It's to get the mind going, and then you ideally will just start to write after that. And it's hard to do an object write and not just start writing afterward. If you have the brain of a writer, especially, like,
because that's your warm up.
Right.
And now you're in the zone.
Right. It's like if you're a pitcher, I'm all about like have an attainable goal. Have a goal that like I can get this done right now.
Right.
That doesn't feel like writing a song, because sitting down saying I'm gonna write a song is hard.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do when you don't have direction to it. So sitting down and saying I'm gonna write for 5 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna write for 10 minutes. Okay, now I'm just gonna write.
Right.
And your brain is like so
now you're
excited.
just in it. Now it's not homework anymore.
Right.
Now the juices are flowing and you're moving and you're going.
And so, I mean, that couch was so like special because it became such a routine to sit down on our couch, do our object write, and then all of a sudden we're like up, pacing around the room, like writing like writing everything. And that's how Pat is like very much like sitting with his guitar, but I'm like running across the room being like, what is this? What if it's that? What if it's that?
Do you have a theater background?
Oh my god. Yeah, I do.
What are we doing right now?
We are thinking of potential track orders for our album, and the problem is that we can't decide. Oops. We're trying.
I had been living in New York. I was living in Manhattan. I hadn't really settled anywhere post-college. I'd been on tour doing the actor thing for a while, and I felt very unsettled. I was living in sublets, a couple different ones in Manhattan, and I got really sick of that, and I said, I want to be somewhere. I'll move to Philly, and I'll live with Pat, And we were so excited because we'd been long distance for our entire relationship until then. On March 5th, I moved in with Pat. March 5th, 2020.
Yeah, and then a week and a
I
half.
moved to Philly.
Yeah.
A week and a half later, everybody had to quarantine, and my parents own a small business, and none of their employees could come into work. Right. And they said, come home, please. They said, come home, please, and bring Pat, because we need workers. And Pat was in his final year of school, which went online at that point. And so I unmoved to Philly, and I moved back in with my family, and so it was my parents and my brother and Pat and I. And every work we would, all 5 of us, go to work together.
What's the business?
It's called Get Smart Products, for all your photo album and picture frame needs. I was working customer service, and then we were both like picking and packing orders in the office. And it was, you know, I know so many people had such an isolated pandemic experience, and so like we cannot complain about it because my family is dope. I have a really cool family. They're lovely people, and they're just super fun. And so while it's hard to maybe like live with your family and your partner
at the same time,
and like in your 20s,
had you two hadn't lived together before.
We had not.
Never.
So our first experience of living
together
together was living together with 3 roommates, and 2 of them were my parents, and 1 of them was my brother.
Right.
Like,
I'm running on easy. I'm running on easy. I'm running on easy.
And then, so was most of the album written that like the summer of 2020?
yeah.
Mostly.
I think the entire album was written then. I don't think we wrote anything.
Manhattan was written.
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah. So actually, Manhattan was the first song that was written for this album before it was even like an idea in our heads to make an album. I started writing Manhattan living in New York on the actor grind, you know, before the pandemic. When it was, you know, I was like depressed living in Manhattan. And then I had these beautiful moments of getting to be an artist in Manhattan, which was really cool.
When did the album like feel like, okay, we have our album? This feels like a piece, and not just like we wrote all these songs, because there is such a
week
difference.
ago.
Last week. Okay.
Last week, when I heard the masters was which shout out to Mike Parisi, the world's greatest masterer. That was when I finally said, oh wait, we're making like a real album, which is so silly, but I think as a writer, it's like you hear the thing in your head. And until it's that, it's hard to feel like you're making something real. Yeah. And then Mike sent it back to us, and I was like, oh, that's what I've been hearing in my head this whole time, and it exists. Oh my God. And I started like weeping because it was like, I've heard songs playing in my head for 2 years, and now other people get to hear them too. Which is really exciting. Yeah. Thank you for watching. This is Pat and Rachel. This has been At Home with the Gender Gnomes. Thanks for hanging out. Like and subscribe, and we'll keep hanging out with some more people. Alright. Bye, everybody. Great. You are the devil in the woodwork, a force that I can't see. Section. We love self-promotion. You are the curtain pulling back on